know where the treats at.
Is this the passing of the torch, right? Is this what this signifies?
It comes down to that front office and what they feel is most important.
The champ is here. We've touched down from a higher plane. Why you landed here?
We always look forward to that week because it was always intense.
You know that we ain't coming back. We got to.
The man, the myth, the legend, Dante Hall. My favorite player growing up was Dante Hall. I love you guys in the show, but Dante was my guy.
Get the dashing because you done on the warfare.
Chief Concerns is presented by BetOnline and Olipop. Marcus Dash here from Chief Concerns, and ladies and gentlemen, it is that time of the year. It's football season, and you know what that means? It means it's time to get in on BetOnline. BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for everything football. BetOnline has every stat, every matchup, and even live odds and spreads to bet on during the games. Think you know your stuff? Get in on our $200,000 mega contest and pick 5 games against the spread every week for your chance at weekly prizes and a share of $200,000. When the game's over, head on over to our online casino and get in on a game of blackjack or poker or unwind with one of our 150 slot games. Head to the website today and get in on the action. Bet online. The game starts here. Come on, baby. Go. 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 Yes. That's a first down. That's a first down. That's a first down. This football season, I'll be putting down normal sodas like Coca-Cola for Olipop. Olipop offers a healthier alternative with its low sugar content and natural ingredients. Olipop is more than just a drink. It's a wellness companion that supports your digestive health. Packed with prebiotics, this fizzy elixir helps promote good bacteria in your gut, leading to improved digestion and overall well-being. So go ahead, click the link in the description and use promo code SODALOVE and get your can of Olipop so you can enjoy the game guilt-free. Go Chiefs. Use the promo code SODALOVE for 15% off now. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Chief Concerns. I'm Marcus Dash, your legendary Chiefs tight end, Jason Dunn. And ladies and gentlemen, we got yourselves one hell of a guest. If you guys have been with us from the get-go, you've definitely watched this guy, seen this guy come on, and we picked his brain about all things quarterback stuff. Tyler Thigpen will be joining us tonight to go over and preview this Week 11 showdown between the Buffalo Bills and Kansas City Chiefs. And this guy played for both squads, so he knows what's like in Bills Mafia and in Chiefs Kingdom. But I think he knows I think he's more of a Chiefs Kingdom guy if I had to guess.
I would say so too, man. Come on, this is where Thieves came and cut his teeth. And so when you get into the league, baby, hey, coming to the Kansas City Chiefs, man, you a Chief forever. That's how it works. And so it doesn't matter where you go, what you do. You will always be regarded as a Chief, and he's one of the fan favorites during the time, man. He brought a lot of excitement to the game, which it wasn't a whole lot of excitement, but the things he would do out there on the field, warrants for people to love what he did as a quarterback with the Chiefs, man. So Thiggs, man, is one of our brothers. I've known him for quite some time. When I came in to play, he was a young pup when he got in there. And so we always say his all the time I was talking about how Thiggs would come and hang out with the tight ends, man, because we were the cool kids. That's what we were. So you want to come hang out with the cool guys.
Well, we'll have to ask him to see if that's true. If the tight end group was the room you wanted to be with, that was like the cool kids table.
Yeah.
I mean, you and TG, I think that is kind of it's pretty good.
Hey man, we was holding it down, the type of swag and the way we carry ourselves, right? And so yeah, of course, people like us, Marcus. They like us. So
that's true. Tight end, even until today, tight ends still are the everyone's talking about tight ends now. Travis Kelce, you guys paved the way for Travis Kelce to fly, and doing what he's doing now with Rockstar. So yeah, you guys have been doing it for a while.
Thank you, appreciate it, brother. Thank you so much.
But yeah, we got a full show tonight to preview this Week 11 game, and we'll have Tyler Thigpen in here helping us do all that. Before we get Thigpen on, I do want to make a comment to our viewers and all our beautiful commenters and subscribers. Guys, if you haven't done so already, please go to our Apple Podcast page, Spotify page, give us a 5-star review. That'll amplify our podcasting channel and get more people to be in on Chief Concerns. That'll help us out tremendously. And all you got to do is hit 5 stars. You can say whatever you want, whether you like us, what you hate about us, but preferably what you like about us. But definitely do that on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. But JD, do you want to say anything to the room, to our commenters before we bring in the man of the hour?
Well, of course, we're gonna talk to everybody who's on here. Ray 028, about time. About time says, hate to be that guy. Oh my gosh, about time you are that guy. But don't think we will beat Buffalo as we are. Not so good, that is. LOL. I got you, about time. We're gonna talk about that in this episode. Andrea, good seeing you as always. Good to see you. About time too. Hope your family's doing well. Maria Trainer, hey, how's it going? Charles Driver, good to see you, my man. Chief for 65 point. Chiefs fan 1969. Good seeing y'all with you, Hall. Hannah, good evening. Sweetie, my baby's on there. Neff, I see you on there. Word, what's going down with you, Neff? Good seeing you like always. The Brown is in here tonight. So we got a packed house, man. There's some good people that always brings us good stuff out here. So we're going to be asking some questions. Jeremiah de Muertos is in the house. What's going down, Muertos? Let me see who else I don't know who else we missed. We'll catch up with it though. We'll catch up. Kathy Welch, like we said. Hype Jactive. What? Okay. All right. That's a new one. Good to have you. Good to see you. So with that, Sarah 73, good to see you as well, Sarah. So with that, let's get this thing rocking, man. Let's go. Let's get it going, man. We're gonna be ready. Bring things on. Let's see the man of the hour.
Without further ado, we're bringing on our guy all the way out from Coastal Carolina, Tyler Thigpen, joining us right now. What's up, Tyler?
What's happening, fellas? Great to be back, man.
Good to have you, brother. Good to have you. We were sitting back here. It is crazy because we was having a conversation and talking and whatnot, and we forgot that we're doing a show because we catching up with one another, man. And life just be lifing.
Absolutely, man. You guys are big time now, man. This is completely different stage as far as the platform and all the infomercials and everything, man. I'm excited for you guys to see you guys doing well.
Well, appreciate that, brother. It's been an absolute blessing, man. And so we take it all in. We love the people that support us, the people that come out. I don't know if you've seen what we were talking to everybody that's in the chat, hollering at them, man. Yeah. We just got a good following of people that come in and they say, what's up? Like they tell you right now, what's up, Tyler? All those different things, man. And so we just going to talk football, but this is family. We talk about everybody here is family, man. We love everybody. We bringing everybody in. But this is a conversation, man, just to have you on here, man. Appreciate you coming back to the show to come holler at us. So OG Thigpen, OG, you known as the OG, baby. OG.
Damn, I am old now, man. That's tough. I just turned 40 this year, man.
Oh, young.
Young puppy, I guess. Still young compared to JD, who was a savvy vet at the time when I came in. But it was great being in a locker room with guys like you, man. I mean, that just, you guys set the tone as far as, the way approach should ultimately be. So, certainly glad to see you still doing well. And obviously great to see the Chiefs doing well. But, you guys certainly, like Marcus said a little bit ago, you guys paved the way. Absolutely.
Man, I appreciate that, brother. I do appreciate that, man. And I told Marcus and everybody on here, I said, man, Thiggs would come hang out with the tight ends because we was the cool kids.
Oh, yeah.
They had all the juice to us. You know what I mean?
That's it, man.
Yeah. So
throw it down back down there on the plaza.
That's right. We used to run that show down there, baby. Run the show down there. So if you was going anywhere in Kansas City, you was with the right crowd.
That's it.
TG, at the time. So
you're right about that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's also good. TG's one of those guys you definitely want to become boys with. You're going to be throwing a lot of targets. He's been getting a lot of targets for you, so you definitely got to become boys with TG.
Absolutely. I mean, that's like you said earlier about, as far as, JD. And I mean, those guys, that obviously they wanted to have the quarterback around because at the end of the day, hey, that's the guy that's throwing us football. But, those guys were pretty easy targets to throw the ball to. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah. My wife says blonde. She's talking about blonde. Remember blonde? Down on the plaza.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that.
infamous spot that guys will go in. So a lot of stories with that place. A lot of stories.
Not sure we can share those on air.
No, I don't think so. So
back in the day when there's no iPhone videos, everyone's got a camera on their phone and stuff. Camera phones, but those things weren't what they are now.
Yeah, things look like blurry, like they have them Nextels and whatnot.
You do like this, and it could be 25 different people. You wouldn't know who it was. It's all brain. They're like, who is that? I ain't JD. Yeah.
These kids nowadays just don't realize how good they got it, man. I mean, as far as, after a high school game, literally they got their film already uploaded to their phone that they can just make a highlight reel to send out to colleges and stuff. I mean, it's just crazy, how the technology world is changed, as far as, for one, with social media and, not being able to get away with anything nowadays, as far as always living in a fishbowl with no rock to go behind, essentially. But, as far as, the way the game's changing, to be able to, in all aspects, as far as with the technology side of it, is crazy to see.
Well, shoot, like you made a point, just where coaches and whatnot could get in contact with you. Like my nephew was getting recruited, and my niece was telling me, well, he's like the coach is texting him and recruiting him. I'm like, so wait a minute, hold on. So he hadn't texted you or called you? She's like, no, he's talking to him. I said, oh, no, you need to tell the coach, right?
Hey,
don't text my nephew. He need to be, talking to you. That's who
right.
it should be going through, as opposed to these backdoor channels you're trying to get into. And that's just, like you said, it's changed so dramatically in a lot of different ways, social media wise. Before we got on here, we seen your little ones, and my kids a lot older. And so with them, man, they just in this world. It's just a totally different world, man.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm trying to keep mine as young as they can for so long. I mean,
there you go. It's a good thing. You got to do that. Yes, sir. So.
Yeah, it was a Tampa Bay Buccaneers social media account. They were trying to show like the different age range on the team. So they showed like a VHS tape to some of the older players.
Oh yeah,
they're like, of course, a VHS, and they went to the rookies. They're like, "What's this?" And they're like, "A VCR." They're like, "No." And then like one of them guy was a VHS, but they went to like a bunch of people before they guessed that was a VHS. It's like just a different world. And these young bucks didn't know what we had to go through back in the day with rewinding, buying VCRs, going to Blockbuster or whatnot. Blockbuster's like a thing people talk about. People didn't actually get the experience,
Mm-mm.
And JD, we were still playing. We were still VHS. It was just now getting to the DVD world as far as like, when I was coming through the NFL. So, as far as I remember having to buy a PlayStation to go home and watch film on it when I got home. I mean, it's as far as from that standpoint. So, these kids nowadays can just sit there and pull up their iPad. And, it's wild.
It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Mike Brennan said Betamax. I remember Betamax. Goodness gracious. Wow.
And so now they have tablets on the sidelines. What exactly? I forget. It's been a long time. What exactly were you guys looking at? Like, what was the version of tablets for you guys back then? Was it like still photos of the defenses?
Yeah, it was still photos when JD was still in. That was probably my one of my. Yeah, I would say the last 2 years they had the tablets when I was playing. As far as, but it was still, it was still images then. It was kind of, you can move them around and circle and stuff. But as far as the still imaging on the sideline, it was pre-snap. And then I think it was like 1 second later or 2 seconds later, they'd take another shot. As far as you had your end zone copy and then you had your wide copy from the sideline. So
wow.
Somehow that's just what you had. I mean, at the end of the day, it's one of those things where it's like, hey, you knew how to make adjustments and understand it. And, that was just, you always had an equipment man, or one of the equipment guys was always the one over there printing it out and putting it in the folder every time.
It's crazy. Let me ask you, Thigpen, do you think quarterbacks coming into the NFL right now, do you think they are prepared for the NFL style of systems that they run now, or no? Or there teams that are preparing these kids or these guys for the next level? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I really don't, as far as the overall, as far as being the guys that are coming in prepared. I think some guys are more prepared than others, and I think that really depends on their coach. I think some coaches pride themselves on saying, hey, I want to develop this guy for the next level.
Yeah.
But some coaches like, hey, at the end of the day, hey, we're at the college level. I'm going to teach him, as best we can to keep ours simple. And I think that's a lot of time the biggest thing for a lot of young quarterbacks coming in is the learning curve. But I'll credit a lot of offensive coordinators in the NFL, as far as being able to simplify it down as best they can to help a young kid. Because I can tell you right now, when I came in as a rookie, my head was spinning. And, we came from an offense at Coastal was very simple. I mean, it was, you'd say black nine and everybody knew what to do. I mean, it was one word plays in a sense. And then you get to Minnesota and it's the West Coast offense.
Yeah.
And you know how wordy that gets.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
I mean, I remember just being in meetings and I'm like, what are we? I mean, like, why? I mean, that was that was called Black Nine. Like, why do we have 20 words of this thing? Like,
Right.
But that was the biggest learning curve for me, I'd say. But, that's the thing is, at the end of the day, I think as an offensive coordinator for those coaches, or for those players, the offensive coordinators for those young guys of doing a good job of teaching them and trying their best to slow the game down. Because at the end of the day, if you've got a quarterback that's going out there and thinking and not playing football, I mean, they're going to be one of those that are going to be behind. But, that also comes down to it is like, hey, this is your job as well as a quarterback. Like, it's no more, you don't have to go to class and you don't have to, you only get 15 hours in the meeting rooms in college or whatever it is, whatever that rule was back then through the NCAA. This is your full-time job now. So, and I think that's a lot of time why you see some of this game, chew some guys up and spit them out because, they don't want to put in the effort. I mean, Jamarcus Russell, he was number one pick.
Yeah.
When I was coming out in 2007, I mean, he was my draft class, and you saw how the game. What a great college quarterback, but it chewed him up and spit him out because he just didn't want to put in the effort in the classroom.
Yeah, we seen that. We was just talking about my man up there in Indianapolis. Obviously, Bryce Young. We're sitting there watching Caleb Williams starting to struggle a little bit.
Yeah.
They were saying, Justin Fields going through a few things. I mean, you start naming them going up and down, and you'll see guys like, yeah, this guy's struggling just a little bit because he's not able to read and pick everything up like he wanted to. Will Levis was supposed to be, the guy down there in Tennessee.
Yeah.
And they like, we need to go get somebody else. So it's just, hey, man, like, and it is about making it. And so when I was coaching in college, and I would see the offenses, and I'm just like, man, y'all making it so easy for the quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Like, it was more on the coordinators, putting everything together, like on the play, like they were the quarterback in itself, right? And so the quarterback was like, okay, they look to the sideline and holding up a sign, and everybody's looking there. I'm just like, yo, this is bad. This is bad. Because you get up to the NFL, like you said, man, you start getting to the West Coast offense. Look, I had John Groot. That's who I had. I'm gonna show you. Look, I still got my playbook from up here with Philly.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I love it.
The NFL
Coach
archives in
JD.
that room.
The dungeon.
Oh boy.
Get this
Well,
sucker out.
hey, I don't know if you're supposed to get that. John Gruden might be knocking. The feds might be knocking on your door saying, "Hey, where you get that from?"
I'm in a what's the name of it? Anonymous location. They can't find me. Things, you know what I mean? I say where I'm at, but I might not necessarily be there. So
Yeah, that's right.
but this is right here. Offensive playbook. I want everybody to see how thick this thing is. I don't know if y'all get it. Okay? This sucker right here. This sucker knock somebody out. You can lay about 5 or 6 people out if you go across their head with this. But I'm telling you, like, the amount of information that's in this thing. This is what I'm talking about. Like, college kids ain't ready for this.
Absolutely
They're not. And so I get when you put something together for college because you want to be successful, coaches need a win to, retain,
Certainly.
their jobs. But you throw a kid up here and he has to go through all the, like, fake 42 bunch, left, right, all that brown and all these formations. And like you said, West Coast terminology, it is a crazy thing. And you got to study. It's studying.
Yeah.
Like, you got to go into the lab, man. You got to go into the lab.
All those. One play call that always sticks to me when I was in Miami, it was, it was one of my favorite plays to run was zero half, ride 35 weak keel, 52 D slant tosser. That's just 3 plays in itself right there. But it's just one of those things to where, you can run the 35 week. Essentially, you're looking at the numbers, but you're seeing if the wheel or the nickel back is cheating out to cover the bubble. And Devon Best was one of the best at running that when we were down in Miami. And if he had out leverage, you right off the bat, you're throwing the bubble. But obviously, if they had the numbers as far as they had 4 on the left side of the center, we knew at that point we were killing and we were running a pass play, 52 D slant tosser, which is your slant flat combo on one side and then your 2 slants on the other. So, you knew at that point, even if they tricked you, you had enough. You had with the system, it's like, hey, if it's 1 high, we're going to the D slant, which is a slant flat. But if it was 2 high, we were going to the double slant, as far as tosser is what we call it, 2 slants.
Okay.
So, but, at the end of the day, we knew that we had a play called to where we couldn't be wrong. Obviously we want to be in the right situation. And that's why you see a lot of the guys that I think a lot of young guys that, they don't have a lot of check plays where they're getting up there and checking plays and whatnot. Because they're not, they're still learning essentially. To guys like Peyton Manning, probably his rookie year was probably checking plays because he's a little different. He's got a big old head with a big brain. So, as far as, but that's the one thing that you try your best to slow the game down because the game is so fast at the NFL that, and that's one thing that Chan Gailey, when my second year when I was there, I felt like we completely changed offenses essentially, still called the same plays, but was completely different once I took over because you had Damon Heward, who was more of a, pocket passer, and Brody Kroll. He was the same way. Those guys weren't, guys that were going to get outside the pocket. So once, I took over there in 2008, I think it was like week 6 or whatever, week 5 or 6 or whatever, we pretty much went to the pistol because, we had Jamal Charles, which was a heck of a running back. We had Larry. He was a downhill guy. So that's why we came out with the pistol as far as to get Larry in the I formation, essentially, to get him downhill because he wasn't one of those backs that, was running side to side.
No. Boy, people that don't realize if they hadn't saw Larry Johnson in do his thing.
Oh, man.
I'm like, man, you just have no idea. A guy who's 6'3", 230, speed, power, could do it all. Catch out the backfield.
He was a stud, man. And had a guy, obviously my rookie year, man, Priest Holmes. What a great, running back, but what a great guy as well, man.
Yeah. But yeah, you played, man, with some real monsters. Shoot, Jamal Charles too. So you had
And that was the thing too, is I think they really, they were paying Larry so much that year. They really wanted to play Jamal because that offense that we kind of switched over to a gun essentially was more for Jamal because that's kind of what he ran in college because he could run sideways. But, at the end of the day, it came down to, hey, we're paying Larry $10 million a year, man. We're going to see him on the field, so we got to figure out a way to do it.
Yeah. No, that's for sure. That's a fact, man. You got to earn that money, and they're gonna make sure they're gonna get every penny out of you they can.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
JD, with that playbook that John Gruden had, that was like one of his first playbooks. How much does a playbook like that for a guy like him differ from was that 96, 97?
96, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So to now, do you think his playbook has differed that a significant amount, or is it pretty much the same thing he's rolling out there?
I'll tell you what, he's probably condensed a lot of it down, but he's probably extended the playbook even more from things he knows and what he like over the years, combination of what he wants to run. He's just, and his things. When you in doing football, you just see plays in your head. Like my wife just said, I write plays up all the time, and I'll get on the board. Like my whole office is just boards. I got a board up there in my other office, and I'll come in and I'll just start writing plays down. When I was coaching, I'm just writing plays down. I'm like, this right here is going to work against this defense. Let me write it up. Let me see how this is going to look. So I guarantee you, in Gruden, I remember seeing a video of him, and he had a playbook from every spot that he was at, and all of them looked like this, every single one of them. And I guarantee he had more plays, like double this, that he's created and put together combination wise. I mean, it's just crazy. Probably the stuff that he's got.
That's probably, honestly, Gruden, he's one of those mind that, at the end of the day, if he was playing, let's just say he was playing the Chiefs one week, and let's say the defensive coordinator used to be the defensive coordinator for the Denver Broncos. I mean, he was going back to, when they played the Denver Broncos then, because he knows, hey, let's see what we had success then, whatever. Because it's a copycat league as far as at the end of the day, if you see a team having success doing something, I mean, you're going to, why not do it? So,
Right.
From that standpoint.
I think you guys got a question here from Amda. What was it like listening to Coach Herm Edwards?
Playing for him, man, that was awesome. He was a player's coach, man. I mean, he was one of those guys that you wanted to win for him. Obviously, we didn't win as many games as we'd like to when we were there, but he was a guy that you just enjoyed talking with, hearing him share stories about when he played and just, at the end of the day, he always kept it lively in the meeting rooms, on the field. He was always, you knew where Herm was at. You could always hear him. So it was awesome playing for Coach Herm.
Yeah, he was definitely, I mean, a showman. He was, you hear him, like you said, out there, very animated on the things he did, how he spoke about it. See, my nephew said second floor, LOA. So me and Herm, if everybody know, me and Herm, kind of went at it a little bit with each other. But I think that the position he's in now as an analyst is something that was more so suited for him. But he is definitely a player's coach. I was telling somebody this other day that Herm, had a philosophy about treating everybody fair, but not treating everybody the same. And I say this, that I do believe sometimes that philosophy that he had didn't go well with some players. And so, everybody has different things they say on Herm. I know, people remember me and him kind of going at it somewhat. But yeah, Herm was a guy that, man, colorful guy. He was a colorful guy, colorful type of, coach. That's who he is. He's a player. He played the league. So, that's what you're going to get. You're going to get that. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
See, G-Pig, I'll never forget that wide receiver reverse bomb to Thigpen, LOL. Forgot who threw it. Was it Mark Bradley?
Yep, Mark Bradley. I dropped that pass earlier in the week in practice, man. I didn't know if they were going to call it. I'm like, Coach, man, you got to call it, dude. And, I think I was more nervous, more or less, going out there and having Rondé Barber, lined up across from me. And as soon as I saw him bite up on the run, essentially for the reverse, I mean, it was game over at that point. Just put it up there. I'm going to get it.
Oh, shoot. Rondé Barber was like, hey, ain't no way they're going to throw it to him. He just coming out here.
Yeah.
So where you was
so
out
we had ran a couple wildcat plays with Jamal Charles earlier in the game, and pretty much all I was doing, I'd come off the ball just like I wasn't doing anything, essentially, like kind of, just, hey, what's he doing? And every time he was firing inside, essentially. And I remember going back to the sideline and telling Chan and saying, hey, he's not paying attention. And sure enough, we ended up, more or less going to that because we had a 2 tight end set, essentially, and I was to the wide side of the field.
Okay.
So every time we had been running that, and that's what we've been showing every time. And I came off the ball just like I did every time. I got my acting degree essentially in college, but sure enough, and on the back end of it, I didn't realize too, because he came up to me after the game and said he was like, man, the only reason I bit up on that is when Jamal pitched it up to Mark kind of like bobbled it, and it almost was like obviously a botched play. So he said he saw Mark kind of like the ball bounce the ball up and gather it. So he saw that, and certainly he just took off running. And as soon as he took off, I mean, it was that point. I didn't even have to throw my hand up. I was that open.
Wow.
37 yards, I think it was.
How many?
37, I think. It was.
Okay. All right.
He put it on the money, man. I mean, and now, I went to, as soon as I caught it, I was obviously going through the end zone, and I went to go kind of do the Lambeau leap. But as I was jumping, I was like, shoot, I'm not trying to get fined here. So I kind of jumped off the wall and came back, whatever, because I didn't know, at the time, obviously, there was crazy fines starting to come about as far as Tony couldn't dunk the goalpost anymore. Those things starting to couldn't throw the ball in the stands. That was a fine, all those things. And I'm like, the first thing, as soon as I went to go do the leap or whatever into the fans, I was like, nope, I ain't doing that. So
Yeah.
Keep that money in my pocket.
Smart man. We got a few questions in here for Tyler. Then we'll get to it previewing the Week 11 games. But you guys get your questions in, and we'll come back at after the show to answer some more questions for our guy Tyler. We got a question from G-Pick. Tyler, what was the toughest thing to adjust to in the NFL for you?
The toughest thing by far is the speed. You hear that as far as, you got guys that play at a high level as far as in the SEC and stuff like that week in and week out. So they certainly, I don't think that they'll, have the biggest adjustment. But coming from a 1AA school like Coastal, where, you had, some great athletes, but at the end of the day, it wasn't the same thing. I mean, obviously there's only, I believe the statistics, there's less than 1% of college athletes that go to the NFL. So that's literally, every team that you're on of a 100-man roster, that's maybe one guy. Less than 1%. So, I think that was the one thing that I think helped me my rookie year was, running scout team, being able to go against the number one defense and actually kind of feel that adjustment or feel the speed of the game to essentially figure out that, hey, these windows are very small. And when they say it's a game of inches, with the way technology is nowadays, and you can see how close a guy's fingertip, he may tip a ball or he may almost graze him. It is a game of inches. And I'm not talking about inches coming up, an inch short on first down. It's all around a game of inches as far as, because there's guys that are such freak athletes. You got guys that I remember pro day, Gaines Adams. He's 6'6", 295 pounds, and he ran a 4.4. And I'm like, what? I just ran a freaking 4.7. Like, that dude's twice my size, and I got to run away from a DN like that. So, you see it obviously every year. These specimen guys that are, as far as on the other side of the ball. But, that's what it comes down to. Is the biggest adjustment for me was speed. But, as far as, on the other side of it too, is the learning curve as far as coming from a simple offense, like we ran at Coastal, to having to learn that playbook. And, I just now, and I didn't even, I went through training or OTAs and then training camp with Minnesota, and then got cut after the last preseason game and got picked up by Kansas City. So I had spent, 3 months learning that playbook. And then sure enough, you get cut. I signed practice squad papers the next day. I'm walking around Best Buy, about to buy me a PlayStation. And my agent calls and he's like, hey, what are you doing? I was like, I'm in Best Buy. And he was like, well, be by your, or obviously be ready. The Chiefs are going to be calling you, whatever. They're picking you up. And they're going to be calling you about with a flight, essentially, information. So take that playbook, throw it in the trash, essentially. And now you got to go learn an entire new playbook. Who was our OC in KC when I got there?
It was Mike Solari.
Mike Solari, that's it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, his offense was completely different. It was all numbers as far as, that game. So that was completely different from the West Coast. So, that's the tough part is not only do you got to learn your new teammates, you got to learn an entire new playbook and everything. So, that's certainly the biggest part of the game as far as, just all the things that people don't realize. They just see the team that shows up are the guys that show up on Sunday that are getting paid all this money and don't realize all the things that go behind the scenes.
Man, I went to the game, a couple of week ago, the Monday nighter against Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
And that's the first time I've been back on the field. Well, I've been on the field since then, but just to see the entire operation, pre-game and all of that happen. It was a sight to see. Guys just getting out there, just running and trotting and catching the ball. But it just brings you back to how the whole production works. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely.
How many people it takes just to get guys out there, right? I seen Schropp, Island, all those guys.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just it's so much is just there that you had to deal with. You were just saying, having a manager, one of those guys taking those photos and putting it in, the foul and stuff. it's a machine, man. It's operation.
Absolutely.
But man, like those type of memories, like coming in, like you said, from a Division I AA school. I did the same thing at EKU.
Yeah.
And mine, probably the biggest thing was like the crowd I had to get used to. Because we just didn't get crowds like that. That was a whole different thing being in a huge stadium. I don't know what it was like close to Carolina. I know it looks good down there now.
We
But-
might have had 10,000 maybe at the height of one of our best games against JMU in 05. So
Yeah.
I mean, you got Chiefs. I mean, I remember halftime when I got traded, we went to Houston and lost, and went to Chicago, and Hester had 2 punt returns for a touchdown. And we came back home, and we were 0-2, and we were playing the Vikings at home. And I remember at halftime going into the locker room, and my ears were just ringing because Arrowhead. I mean, when obviously they went back and forth with Seattle for the loudest stadium. I mean, Arrowhead was rocking then. I mean, there's no doubt.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll if you guys have any questions for Tyler, send them in. We'll get to them at the end of the show before we get out of here. But we're going to go to previewing some Week 11 topics here. You guys ready?
Absolutely. Thank you, Amda Brown, for the little donation, my brother. Appreciate you so much for that.
I didn't even see that. Amda Brown. I was at the game on October 5th, 2008. Chiefs 0, Panthers 34. It took me 8 years before I had the courage to go to another Chiefs game. I left before Tyler replaced Damon Heward. Lo siento.
Oh, yeah.
Chiefs lore right there. That's good stuff. Appreciate you, Amda. All right, so we're gonna get to it. So obviously, the offensive line has been a big topic in Chiefs Kingdom since last week. Seeing our guy 15 get beat up big time last week. The Athletics' Nate Taylor reports if Wanye Morris has lingering injury issues during this upcoming week against Buffalo, Donovan Smith is reportedly ready to go as soon as the Chiefs call. I think also on Twitter this past week, Jeff Allen, former Chiefs OT, tagged him in a tweet, and he gave like a giddy emoji back to him. JD, you've been talking about potentially bringing in Donovan Smith back anyways for the last few weeks. But what do you make of the move to potentially bring him back? I mean, Andy Reid even said the other day that he doesn't deal with those kind of moves. That's all up to Brett Veach, but he'd love to have Donovan Smith back. And Tyler, can you talk? I've been seeing a lot of Chief fans this week saying Pat's kind of lost a step this year. He had Travis Kelce wide open in the back of the end zone last week. Air mailed it. Just kind of missed throws that are, so to speak, easy throws for Patrick Mahomes. But can you talk about how, I guess, the impact and the effect of getting beat up as much as he had been last week by the defense and, having to worry about that left tackle spot all game? How does that really affect a quarterback, especially even on those easy throws?
I mean, obviously it certainly plays in his mind. I mean, as far as, your blind side for a right-handed quarterback is that left tackle spot. I mean, and those guys are the reason they get paid the amount of money they get paid is because they essentially are protecting these quarterbacks that are making $50 million, a year now. So, as far as, not knowing, if you're going to get hit in the back and not trusting that, I think that's easy for somebody like Pat, who has, a tendency to get outside the pocket to maybe do that a little sooner because he knows that, hey, at the end of the day, those guys might be getting beat essentially because, here I am. I think he's had 4 sacks in the last 2 games, each more or less. So, as far as that stuff weighs on him, and those are just sacks when they get to him. That ain't all the times that he's getting hit. So, as far as from a quarterback, if you're getting hit more than not, it certainly wears on you. And for a guy like Pat that, at the end of the day, he certainly has played through some bumps and bruises throughout his career. But, at the end of the day, when you get older, I mean, those bumps and bruises start hurting a little bit more than they do in previous years. So, I definitely think that's something that's on his mind. I mean, he may not come out. Obviously, he's not going to come out and say anything about it, because those are his guys up front. But, obviously, the things they've had in the past is they've had an offensive line that, without a shadow of a doubt, they've kept him upright and allowed him to make the plays. But, year in and year out, I mean, at that position, and not only when you win back-to-back Super Bowls, I mean, there's a lot of pressure that comes along with that you as a quarterback, you put on yourself, and you try to be perfect when at the end of the day, all we're trying to say, hey, you don't have to be perfect. Like, go out there and just play your game and let the rest of it take care of itself. So, hopefully that's not necessarily the case, but you can certainly see that his play this year is not been what it's been in years past. And certainly Chiefs fans are, whether they're upset or whatever the case may be, at the end of the day, he's still 9-0. So, I mean, they still keep figuring out. I mean, it's not the offense, in years past that's bailed them out. They've driven down the field. It's, now it's the defense stepping up or special teams making plays. I mean, it's a team game at the end of the day. And I still think that there's, obviously we'll talk about it more in the show or whatever, but, there's time still to continue to iron things out for the offense. I mean, at the end of the day, it's not like you're 0-9. I mean, it's not like you're ready to hang up the cleats for the rest of the year. I mean, you're 9-0. It's sitting number 1 in the AFC. So keep winning games and keep stocking them up. I mean, that's what it comes down to.
Yeah, obviously, left tackle is concerning. Especially like you were saying, if you're not getting that type of protection, it would probably be in your best interest to make sure that he is getting some type of help out there. And so we got 2 young guys, Wanye and Kim Suma. I told you before that I do trust Wanye and what he does. He's a much better offensive tackle than Wanye right now, this moment, because he just got another year of experience. And so, like you were talking about it, Tyler, you were talking about like the speed of the game, right? And so here you got a guy that's seen the speed of the game for an entire year to a guy that's just now getting here from BYU. That's a totally different thing, man. You got some big dogs out there who's trying to eat. These jokers are making $30 million, $32 to $35 million a year. They get paid to get there and wreck Patrick Mahomes. So I like the whole point and thought process of bringing Donovan back because Donovan was the guy that was here that taught Wanye how to be, offensive tackle, give him some tricks of the trade. And so when you're thinking about it, man, left tackle, any tackle position, actually, you'll be on the island every once in a while just by yourself. That's a hard task against some of the best players in the game. So I like the thought process of bringing Donovan back. But I could think that maybe Patrick also, too, and I said this, when he sits back, he drops back a little bit further, I think, than everybody else. He just gets that extra step in. And a lot of it is because he can't extend plays with his legs. This last game, he held it somewhat, but also, too, Tyler, what I was seeing is there was some plays guys weren't necessarily getting open. And what the Chiefs tend to do is, I don't believe in a lot of the plays they put enough guys out there as receivers. Sometimes they'll just run like 3-man routes or 2-man routes. And I'm just like, dude, like you start doing that. I mean, you're gonna leave these guys out there, man, to eat. So like that. And especially for guys having a hard time, man, trying to hold up, just to begin with against speed rushers. Like everybody with Denver and why they're so good is they got nothing but speed. These guys are smaller guys and they're pass rushers. That's their specialty. That's what they do. So that's the reason, they're rated where they are as far as defensively, and they know they got guys on the outside and Surtain and Moss and those guys that can lock, wide receivers down. But I think we have to at least address that issue if the guys there are having a hard time, they're struggling. And so Wanye Morris at this moment is the only one that's been there. He's been getting hurt. So what do you think, Tyler? Do you think about maybe going to get another veteran guy, who obviously Donovan Smith was when he, remains with us here, just for practical purposes. Like, look, just for depth, just in case something happened to Wanye, because, Sumaite is not quite ready, and you can't bring in a guy that is unproven. Like, there's no reason to bring a guy from the practice squad. They were talking about Ethan Driscoll. I'm like, listen, you want to put your guy at risk, Pat?
Yeah.
Your $500 million guy? I wouldn't do it. Not on a guy that definitely doesn't have any type of development or getting any type of development on the practice squad. So absolutely. I think your position or what they should do is go out and go get somebody in here. So,
Yeah, that would be my big concern as far as for bring Donovan Smith in. I mean, I know you said earlier that he's ready to go, but game ready and working out are completely different. As far as from that standpoint, you got your adrenaline is kicking and everything when it comes game time. Not saying he can't get out there and do it, but hey, who's to say that bringing him back in the in the room and it doesn't light a fire under those guys. And I mean, at the end of the day, hey, this guy's coming back from my job, and this is my job. Who's to say he doesn't need something like that? Because right now they're the guy that's behind him, essentially is not necessarily pushing him, so he knows this is his job. But if you bring a guy like Donovan in there, for one, the leadership that he's going to bring back in there, maybe he can, teach him a few things to help him out here and there. But, at the end of the day, it's like, hey, this might light a fire under him to kind of push him over the edge and say, hey, you know what? My job, I know it's been my job all year, but hey, this might not be my job moving forward. And what are you going to do? I mean, competition at the end of the day, that the cream always rises to the top when you have competition.
Competition is good. Competition is absolutely good.
Absolutely.
So,
but adding depth, I mean, like you said, JD, I mean, that adding depth is huge. I mean, you can never have enough depth when it comes to offensive line. I mean, I've played on teams where we didn't have any injuries, and I played on teams where you're just, almost bringing in the third tight end to try and finish the game, essentially, because guys are beat up.
Yeah. That's a tough place to be, man. You don't want to be called in that position at all. Now we've seen, obviously Tooney be able to move out. I think somebody sit there and said, well, why don't you just move Tooney out? Why? Then it leaves you with two holes. You have another guy in here who's not as good, at guard. Yeah. And you're going to put Tooney out there? Like, I don't think that's not the answer. That's not the answer. So. I
agree. I mean, there's a completely different, like you said, I mean, being a guard, you pretty much got guys on both sides. But, when you get out there into the tackle position, you're on an island. There's no doubt about that.
Seen a lot of fans speculate. I'm seeing right here, like, for example, Wichita says, I'm worried that the reason Donovan hasn't been called back is he's asking for too much money. And I've also seen another thing from fans. That's one of the things I've seen from Chiefs Kingdom speculation, is the fact that would he demand a starting job if he were to come back? Like, is that one thing that a veteran, JD, like at this point in the season, right, Wani's the guy, but we're only bringing Donovan Smith back for the fact that Wani gets hurt. Is Donovan Smith think that he should be getting a starting job if he were to come back in week 11 when the team's already 9-0? I feel like you wouldn't think that at this point, right?
Well, no, it's just the same like Biggs was saying is like he's got to be in game shape. We don't know what type of shape he is. He might have been sitting at home eating Cheetos and got, all type of crumbs on his beard and chest. You know what I'm saying? We don't know what type of shape he's doing. Yeah. It's like he might be doing a whole 2 liter of Mountain Dew. We have no idea. But we know if he comes in, he's a solid guy that, like you said, can help out as far as like with the knowledge with these younger guys, right? It's essentially having another coach, that's there in the room to help the younger guy like Sumate out, to help out Morris and whatnot. As far as it's different from a player speaking to a guy as opposed to a coach. And sometimes just be able to get a little bit more from a player like, hey, man, look, I know coach says do this, but also I'm going to give you a little bit more, knowledge to do something else a little bit different, right? How does that feel to you? And so guys just try those things.
He's got the game knowledge. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. I mean, shoot, I don't know how many coaches went against, like I said, a Benito or, a Crosby, right? Coach ain't out there blocking Crosby. Yeah.
They can tell you what to do, but at the end of the day, like you said, Donovan's actually done it. I mean, he's walking a lot. Like, yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that's a great point, certainly.
Mm-hmm.
The imagery there of him dusting off Cheetos and drinking a Mountain Dew is hilarious.
He's like, hold on. He's like,
oh gosh, put the beard up.
Yeah. Hello, what you doing? I'm over here working out. While he's over there drinking a Mountain Dew. I'm over here working out. Yeah. So, nah, man, that we don't quite know what type of shape he's in, but we know he could definitely get into that type of shape, especially if you play the game long enough, especially at that position, where your body needs to be effective. You
Absolutely.
Know that. So,
exactly right. That's a great point.
Mm-hmm.
And another thing that a lot of people in the chat brought up is the Pat's had a bum ankle. He's been dealing with a bum ankle for the last few weeks since the Buccaneers game. That talk about how that can impact quarterback's mechanics and everything that's that goes into being sharp out there from a quarterback's point of view.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as far as any time of injuries you're playing through, sorry about that.
Oh, you're good, man. You're good. You're good, brother.
Yeah, the Cheetos started laughing over here. Anytime you're playing through any kind of bumps and bruises and whatnot, especially on your, a front leg and the left leg. You said it was his left leg ankle injury?
I believe it was his left ankle.
Okay. As far as from that standpoint, I mean, obviously every time you're throwing, if you're not transitioning your weight, you're throwing off your back foot. I mean, that's certainly, he could lose accuracy from there. There's no question about that. But, at the end of the day, his feet have always been something that's added another phase to his game that's always helped. But, if he's not able to outrun somebody or to get outside the pocket to extend that play, it's essentially all he's been able to do is kind of get outside and throw it away. When in years past, he's actually been able to get outside and make a play with his feet, whether it's get the first down or, extend it to be able to throw the ball down the field. So anytime you're battling through some bumps and bruises or injuries or anything, that's certainly tough. I mean, you can only do so much treatment throughout the week, but at the end of the day, Patrick seems like he's a rep guy that, he can't just sit out all week and not practice. I'm sure he could get away with it because he's, as far as, with him being a veteran, but, at the end of the day, he needs the timing down to be out there actually the one throwing. He doesn't need to be standing over there on the sideline, getting mental reps. He needs to be out there getting the physical reps. So, hopefully, and that's one of those things to where it's like, hopefully they're taping it up and as the weeks go on, hopefully he doesn't keep, injuring it by any means, and hopefully he can get that thing back healthy.
Yeah. And you can see how when he talks to Andy about pulling him out, like, hey man, you got to no, I'm not coming out. And so to him, he doesn't care if he's bruised up or not. This man he's a winner. He wants to win. That's what drives him. He's a competitor. And so as far as like those little nicks and bruises and things, this, man, I don't know anybody on the football field that's not going through that.
Oh yeah.
Just be honest. Yeah.
Yeah, there's not many guys in week 9 in the NFL that are just completely fully healthy. There's no doubt about that. So
never. And it's spot on. But week 9, you start seeing that training room filled with a lot of different people. You're like, I ain't never seen you here before. What are you here for? Like, yeah, I just, my back, I got hit in the game. And sometimes you just don't know. The guys got touched at a certain time. Like, yeah, man, I don't know my ribs or my shoulder. Like, I didn't see it in the game. But then you start seeing that training room start changing a little bit.
That's it.
More heads start poking in.
And that's the thing too is any time of with him not necessarily not trusting his offensive line, but just having the feel of guys that are running free or getting beat, essentially, those things mess up timing. And at the end of the day, I mean, all of his, Travis Kelce yards and stuff. I mean, more times than not, if you ever probably watch if you knew the play call and essentially the route that was run, it's probably ended up being different just from, hearing them talk about it from time to time and saying like, hey, he was supposed to be doing this, but Travis kind of felt it and he went this way essentially. So, all those things that, that one extra second that, he's had in years past, he doesn't have it now. So, for those guys to not be, like you said, not getting separation, not getting open, I mean, at the end of the day, you can only do so much. I mean, you can't go out there and run the routes for them. I mean, those guys have got to, and that's a big pickup with D-Hop. Yeah, that was huge to have him to come in right away and have success. I mean, that was when I saw that trade happen, I was like, goodness gracious, had another one. But at the end of the day, like you said, I mean, it comes down to they're still figuring out ways to win, and that's what great football teams do. It's not been in the fashion in years past that you see Patrick Mahomes putting up these MVP numbers, and they're figuring out ways to do it without him. And he's still got time. Like I said earlier, I mean, I would be blown away if he doesn't figure it out and they don't start clicking here coming up. Obviously getting closer to the end of the season and whatnot.
Well, shoot, I think Andy was praising the speed that him and D-Hop got on the same page, just the rapport they had with each other already.
Yeah.
And so when you have two guys, I mean, relatively at the top of their game, right? D-Hop has been doing it for a long time. Great, probably as better as anybody else in the league as wide receiver. Speaking to Pat's like, hey, you doing it? D-Hop's like, yeah. He said, but if I give it, I'm gonna give you this. And so Pat's like, okay, sure. And so you could see them just over there talking. There was a play actually where Pat got sacked. That was just a little bit too long.
Yeah.
You seen him get up and he pointed at D-Hop, man, I was coming to you. D-Hop knew because D-Hop got open for him. And he's just like, I was coming to you. So I think going on, when the season progresses, and they talked about it right here, that when JuJu and the other guys start getting back, it's going to be a whole different type of offense, man. Whole different type of offense. And we've talked about Pacheco getting back, JuJu getting back. I mean, there's going to be guys, some weapons getting back that's going to help light defenses up. And so Pat's going to love those things, man.
Pacheco, I mean, you're bringing up Pacheco. I mean, that's a huge threat out of the backfield as far as catching the ball. I mean,
yeah,
those are things that you don't realize that, getting the guys healthy and like you said, with JuJu and getting those guys back. I mean, those are guys that he's had chemistry with for the last few years. And those are things, those are big when you can lean on as a quarterback, when you can lean on a guy like, when I had Tony Gonzalez, like I knew what I was getting out of Tony.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Pat may know what he's getting out of JuJu or whatever. He may know what he's getting out of Pacheco or whatever, those guys. So he knows what he's getting out of Travis Kelce. I mean, so, give it time. I mean, I know it's week 9 and you should have all this stuff ironed out, but we're just halfway through the season. I mean, and you're 9-0. I mean, I keep saying that, but I mean, hey.
And we know, especially for the Chiefs, man, we know they're going deep in the playoffs and, to finish up this three-peat. So, for them, like everything is going to come. It's going to come. You got time that whatever they've been messing up in is fixable. They got plenty of time to get everything right. So I don't. It doesn't bother me whatsoever, man. I'll be honest with you. I'm not really worried about Buffalo either. I think we're a much better team than Buffalo is. Josh Allen doesn't have the weapons he used to have, and so he's starting to try to get used to those things. Amari Cooper is one of those guys that's out. But I know we're going to talk about that also too. But what do you go ahead, Marcus? What's your next question, brother? What else?
Yeah, no, I mean, you guys kind of started to talk about it. So today, obviously this week they activated Omenihu and Pacheco off the IR, so they opened up their 21-day practice window, which is huge, big time. So the cavalry is coming. But JuJu Smith-Schuster is going to play this week. That's what Andy Reid said, but he said Omenihu and Pacheco unlikely to play this week. So Travis Kelce on his podcast talked about how he sees this team being a high-scoring offense for the rest of the season, and obviously that entails guys like Pacheco and JuJu coming back. But for this weekend alone, what do you expect to see? How do you guys expect to see JuJu work with Kelce and D-Hop in this offense? What kind of things are you expecting to see here with this with the JuJu addition with D-Hop? Because it's the first time we're going to see JuJu and D-Hop on this offense together. What do you kind of see? How do you see JuJu and D-Hop working with each other, meshing with each other with Kelce on the field? Because I've seen some people online are saying it's kind of redundancies with JuJu and D-Hop. A lot of fans are kind of worried about the duo together, which is I think is silly, but how do you guys see it? Because I mean, if Kelce's saying this is going to be an explosive offense the rest of the season, how do you guys see these three kind of meshing with each other? And also on top of that, Xavier Worthy, you have the speed of the overtop threat with Xavier Worthy. How do you guys see this kind of offense shaping up the rest of the season with the JuJu, D-Hop, Kelce, and Worthy?
I mean, I'd say at the end of the day, I mean, that's huge to have somebody like that. I mean, for somebody to say that they don't know how it's going to gel, I mean, at the end of the day, when you add another threat back on the offense, I mean, that almost frees up to where you got your one-on-ones now with Travis Kelce. When before they might have been, saying, hey, we'll leave our, the number 2 receiver one-on-one essentially because we can lock him down. But we can put an extra guy, on Travis Kelce. So now at the end of the day, is Patrick's job is to say, hey, take what the defense gives you. Find your matchups that are one-on-one. I trust that, hey, if I've got D-Hop one-on-one, like, hey, I'm going to take that chance. I'm going to take that shot. I'm going to trust it. If I've got Travis Kelce one-on-one, like, those are matchups that you got to trust week in and week out that your guys are going to win. And then with JuJu, I mean, at the end of the day, bringing him back, I don't know if he's – I mean, obviously, I would say he's full speed, but, it might not be something to where he's just, full go in the sense where they might just try to ease him back in. But, just having these guys that are starting to get back and from injuries, and that's huge to add another weapon on offense. I mean, what quarterback wouldn't want more weapons?
You know what? That right there is the point. Like, that's exactly, it makes the quarterback's job much easier. It makes Patrick, he's got more targets to throw the ball to, guys that are productive guys. Okay, you got JuJu, who is primarily a slot guy if you want to. D-Hop can do it all. He can be slide, he can be outside. I don't care where you put him in. Like, those three out on the field, it gives Pat options. He's got legitimate guys who can catch the football. I'm not saying he didn't before, but we're talking about guys that's been productive, right? We talked about JuJu almost having 80 catches 2 years ago with Pat. Okay, we see what D-Hop's been able to do over his career. Travis Kelce's been killing him the last 3 or 4 games, and everybody said he was old, tired, and didn't move around the way he did because Taylor Swift, I don't know, somehow put a hex on him, stole his heart or whatever. I don't know what it is, right? They keep
probably writing a song right now about him already.
Right, yeah.
Just waiting.
Just waiting.
Yeah.
But if you're thinking that somehow bringing JuJu back, and you don't quite understand how that's going to help gel with what Pat does, I don't know how you're looking at football. I just don't understand it. Because you got, like I said, you just increasing your weapons, you can increasing your options. We got guys that can get open, understand, windows, how to find areas. Those are the guys that you need that got the experience, that know how to get open. And they're going to help a young guy like Worthy out, right? And so now all of a sudden you had to put a whole lot of, pressure on Worthy to do well. We gave him a lot of targets last week. It didn't really produce a whole lot. So now it's like, okay, watch D-Hop and those guys. And sometimes, Figs, it's two. You might have a young guy, and he might look like he has everything together. I'm not saying that he doesn't. But you might be putting a lot of pressure on his shoulders. He's got a lot on his plate that he feels like he needs to do a game. And so his mind is still going with everything he's doing, like, oh my gosh, let me do this right. How do I? And so what I've seen, absolutely. What I've seen with Worthy is him still learning how to run routes here in the NFL. He's been so fast than everybody else in college, like it's easy. I always talk about this. I mean, he's not going against, somebody who's taking, global finance. Okay, he's going against somebody who's trying to make, $50 million a year. All right, and so you got to learn how to stack the guy. Learn how to stack him. Get open. Right. So.
I mean, that's the thing too, is that's a great point as far as from that standpoint. But the one thing that I would say that, and I could be wrong on this as far as, but you don't have any guys in that locker room that, when Travis Kelce, the first couple of games where he didn't really have any production or whatever, he wasn't sitting there just blowing Patrick Mahomes up in the dang media saying like, he's not throwing me the ball. And, D-Hop, if D-Hop only gets 2 catches this week, he's never been a guy that's going to be like, why aren't you throwing me the ball? Like, there's no toxic guys. There's just a bunch of football players and great athletes in that locker room that, at the end of the day, if I happen to get 10 catches this game, awesome. But the next game, if I don't only get 2 catches, they're not those guys that are just in the media sitting there saying like, he's not throwing me the football. And next thing you know, now you got guys now you got Patrick who feels like he's got to force the ball, and he starts doing stuff that, he's going off the reservation essentially, is saying, hey, I've got to get a guy because he's unhappy. You don't want that kind of toxic stuff in the locker room as far as, every time you turn the corner, when you see a guy's like, well, obviously he's looking at me because he's not throwing me the football. He's more or less staring a hole right through me kind of thing. So that's always good to have guys like that. And like I said, adding JuJu back, it's just going to do anything. If anything, it's going to do it. It's going to help. Absolutely.
Yeah. And also, like you were saying before, like if Patrick feels like he's under duress from, the tackle not getting this guy, I mean, he's going to try to make things happen. And sometimes it's where you get in trouble, you get in problems. That's how you get, banged up instead of making things happen. Those guys around you, now he's like, okay, I could trust this guy's going to be where I'm expecting him to be. So you weren't there with Al Saunders. Al Saunders was gone, right? So he went to when you got there. Okay. Yeah. But Al used to tell us all the time. He said, one thing you don't do, don't fool the quarterback. Be where you're supposed to be when you're supposed to be there. Okay. And you can guarantee Travis, JuJu, and D-Hop all those three guys are going to be where they're supposed to be when they're supposed to be there.
That's it. You're right.
Yeah, I didn't get the no, you know, a lot of Chief fans and every sports team always has people who overreact, but I've seen some people who are just saying that we got JuJu, and then once JuJu got hurt, that's why we got D-Hop, and having those two together is gonna be kind of a redundancy. More interested to see how it works. Seemed like there's a little bit of negativity there, but yeah, like I'll take your guys' word for it, and I do agree. More weapons, the merrier for our guy Pat to make life easier for him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I mean, honestly, JuJu should be happy you got a guy like D-Hop across from him. And D-Hop should be happy he's got a guy like JuJu. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, why wouldn't you? I mean, that's go double team D-Hop. I'll be 1-on-1. Double team me. He'll be 1-on-1. I mean, a defense can't be right when you have weapons like that. And that's in years past when you know the Chiefs have had this success. I mean, the defense is really they never can be right essentially. Because you get, whatever that one-on-one matchup, Patrick's always been able to exploit that.
And we got complementary pieces too around them, right?
Yeah.
Worthy, McCole Hardman, Jalen Watson. We got complementary pieces, and Noah Gray does a great job at tight end, catching the football too. So, yeah, just, man, make the offense easier for real.
Yeah. And veteran guys too who know to find the holes in the defenses. So it's gonna be interesting to watch. And the fact that Kelsey's saying we're gonna be this high powered offense for the rest of the season. I mean, I think they're confident in what they have, the pieces they have over there. So I'm very excited to see that.
So things I'm gonna ask you this, okay? And you don't have to name any names. But have you ever in the locker room experienced somebody say crybaby guys? Like guys just wanting the ball and just, just
absolutely.
Yeah.
And that puts it and honestly, what that does at the end of the day, that puts pressure on the quarterback to say, hey, I've got to force this guy the ball. And you don't want that because that's when mistakes happen. You're like, at the end of the day, your job as a quarterback is to take what the defense gives you. And Patrick's done that, so great over the past through his career as far as taking what the defense has given him and not trying to force those things. And like I said earlier, JD, as far as just that, I mean, a half second, I mean, as a quarterback, a half second is a lot. I mean, I know that might be just a click of a finger essentially, but that is a lot when it comes time to having that window to throw it in or the guy not, batting the ball or swiping at your hand, but essentially, the ball's already gone. I mean, those things are very key to, having success as a quarterback. I mean, you could go back and watch a game, and I'm telling you right now, a guy has 30 passes or whatever, and he completes 20 of them. Of those 20, I bet you there's a guy within 2 or 3 foot of his arm every time.
Oh yeah.
And that's one of those things where it's like it really comes down to having that extra second and trusting that, hey, I know I got a guy behind, protecting my backside, blind side, that's going to give me that extra half a second that I need to wait till D-Hop gets open, like you said.
Yeah.
So those are things that, like I said, I mean, hopefully they can get on the same page, the offensive line. And like I said, hopefully if they do bring in a guy like Donovan Smith, hopefully, like you said, that can elevate that offensive line room as far as, in many ways, whether it's him getting on the field playing and we know what he can do, but also being a veteran and being able to, help a young guy and move him along.
Yeah. Somebody, Dane says, don't hate on me, but I feel like we did that with Tyreek last couple of years with KC and Pat forced it just a bit. My opinion was that, you had Travis and Hill was just so good that if Pat got into a tough situation, he knew he could just throw it up to Tyreek. Tyreek, he has the ability, like that was the crazy part. Like seeing him have the ability to get around guys, just to run around him and go catch a pass where everybody's like waiting for the ball to come down. And Tyreek there, gather his feet, run, jump up in front of us. Like, he's just so more athletically gifted than a lot of the DBs and safeties he was just running against.
And I certainly hear what he said as far as that. But with a guy like Tyreek, I mean, it's not that you're forcing the ball, but it's you got to design a lot of plays to get a guy like that the ball because he's so explosive and so elusive
Yes, sir.
To where it's whether you're throwing the little quick screen or whatever, essentially, or you're, faking it, obviously a bootleg to essentially have him making a double move where it looks like a bootleg. Obviously, he's running this way, hitting a pylon route or whatever it might be. I mean, stuff like that. I mean, you gotta incorporate guys like that when you have weapons like a Tyreek Hill to get him the ball to make plays. I mean, and yeah, there are times where it probably looks like he's forcing it, to those guys. But hey, when you got weapons like that, you got to get those guys the ball. I mean, because they are very, they're game changers when it comes down to it.
Yeah, that's right.
So good point, though.
All right, so now we're gonna get to the Buffalo Bills side of things a little bit. So, just doing, so obviously 9-0 Chiefs are heading to the 8-2 Buffalo Bills. It's the highest win total going into a Week 11 game since the Chiefs played the Rams going into that Week 11 game, that famous Monday night game that was 54-51. They played at the Coliseum, so it's the highest win total between two teams at this late in the season since that game. So if it's anything like that Monday night game, the 54-51 game, I'm really, really excited about that. But in the Mahomes era, the Chiefs are 3-0 in the playoffs against the Bills. But in the regular season, however, that's when the Bills come to life. They are 1-3 against the Bills in the regular season during the Mahomes era. So 3-0 in the playoffs, 1-3 in the regular season. I think I'll take the 3-0 in the playoffs. So if the Chiefs win, they're pretty much inching closer to nailing that one seed in the AFC, continuing on the way to a perfect season. The other side, Buffalo winning this game kind of keeps things interesting for the battle for that one seed in the AFC. But obviously, if you look at the history of the rivalry between these two teams over the last few years, and obviously what's at stake here this weekend, getting closer to the one seed, we're trying to vie for that one seed. Who needs this game more between the Bills and the Chiefs, between these two AFC juggernauts?
You know what, man? I think the Bills need it more than the Chiefs do. I mean, the Chiefs, like you said, is undefeated. And so we got games to give if we need to. We give games up. So as far as where this sets us right now, we are on a great trajectory to have a number one seed. Okay. And so Buffalo needs this more than we do. But hey, look, it's regular season. What counts is that playoff. When playoffs come, it's about who's getting beat in the playoffs, and we've been on top each and every time. So I don't think Buffalo is going to beat us, but they do need this game more than we do.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree with you on that. And I think obviously the media makes it out that obviously Patrick Mahomes versus Josh Allen and the rivalry that's become, because we've seen the way the scheduling goes is like whoever wins if you're number one, you're in your division, you play the number one team in the other division every year. So as far as in the AFC, so that's why they've had that rivalry for years that's been going on. But like you said, I'd rather have that 3-0 in the playoffs than the 1-3 in the damn regular season. I mean, let them have another win. Let them have a win on Sunday. I mean, obviously, that's not what you want essentially, but who's to say that's not a wake up call for the Chiefs to, if that so does happen, that hey, that's kind of a reset of like, hey, all right, we've kind of skirted by some of these games and won real close. It's like, hey, maybe this is a reality check to where, and there's a lot of pressure too to stay undefeated. I mean, if you go back and probably interview the Patriots that year when they were 18-0, whatever, going into the Super Bowl, I mean, that's a lot of pressure week in and week out, because guess what? Every single team you play every week that's your Super Bowl. That's their Super Bowl. And to be the best, you got to beat the best. And right now, the Chiefs have showed that the last 2 years. So, who's to say, like I said, I mean, I don't know necessarily what the outcome that's going to be on Sunday, but, at the end of the day, you could tell that it seems like the Bills certainly need this more than the Chiefs do.
Yeah. So, Ty, let me ask you, man, what do you think, what does it rank for the Chiefs to be undefeated for the season? What do you think it ranks up for those guys? Is it a high thing to try to obtain, or you think those guys are like, hey man, it's every week. Whatever the week brings is what the week brings. So we end up finishing up undefeated. Cool. If not, then we okay with that too. So how hard is think.
Yeah, I think I'd be wrong in saying that every guy doesn't want to finish, undefeated, to be that team to finish the season, or to finish undefeated for one. I mean, that's one thing, but it doesn't mean, to me, being undefeated during the season and not winning the Super Bowl, I can give two shits about being
Right.
I'd rather win the Super Bowl and be 9-8 like the damn Giants were those 2 years they won. I mean, who gives a dang what the damn left-hand column said at that point? But I do think that there's a lot of pressure that comes along with that, of being, and it's almost like, if they do lose a game, it's like, all right, we're still a good football team, like we don't have to have that damn, undefeated bubble over our head, like of every week of saying, they're going for the perfect season or whatever it is. Cause that is a little bit of added pressure, if you ask me. I mean, I really do. I mean, you can't tell me that there's guys aren't thinking that in their mind. I mean, that like, hey, we're still undefeated. We're still undefeated. But it's one of those things where, I mean, is that your ultimate goal, to win every damn game? Absolutely. I mean, that's what you go to work every single day and lace those cleats up and strap on that helmet. I mean, you're not going out there to lose a damn football game.
Right.
But as far as from that standpoint, like I mentioned a minute ago, if it were to go the opposite way this weekend, I mean, maybe that, like you said, that's a reset of saying, hey, that perfect season is behind us. But this also shows that, like, it's one thing to lose by 3 points, but it's a different thing to get blown out. Because that certainly, if it goes that way this weekend, then you got a lot of Chiefs fans are saying, oh, shoot, here it goes.
Well, not only Chiefs fans, but then analysts and everybody else. Everybody else is like, see, I told you, the Chiefs, look, pretenders, they're not the real guys like you see.
Absolutely. That's a great point.
Yeah. So you're going to hear a lot of that, man, because they've been saying, Baltimore is the best team, and, Detroit, the Bills look better. And so the one thing I don't think people take context as far as understanding, like, okay, you can say Pat's not playing his best football, okay? But the standard we set for Patrick, okay, the standard where he's at and where he's supposed to be, okay, is still better than what somebody, what their top line is. Like, we understand that. Like, who wouldn't want to still have Patrick Mahomes the way he's still playing? I'm like, I still think everybody will still take him on their team, okay, as a guy. So I just I know people try to make that point, Pat's not playing his best season. Well, he's getting the job done. That's what he's doing. His job is,
guess what his record is.
That's what, right. Yeah. Okay, he threw an interception, or he got a turnover. He still won the game.
And that's the problem too, that so many. I mean, fans are fans. I mean, obviously as a player you love the fans, but the problem is sometimes is Pat, like you said, has set that expectation so high, and that every single week in and week out, those Chief fans expect Patrick to do exactly what he's done for the last 6 years of his career, or however long, 7 years, whatever he's been playing. So it's just one of those things to where it's like, it's almost like Patrick set himself up for failure because he's done so well, and now he's like, he's acting like a human. He's not acting like Superman. But like I said, at the end of the day, he's still winning football games. I mean, it's not pretty. He doesn't have the 20 touchdowns and 2 interceptions, ratio right now. It's 12-9 or 12 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, I believe. But at the end of the day, I'll take that. I'll who's leading the league in stats right now as a quarterback? Do you know, Marcus?
I think Baker was last week.
All right. Well, what's Baker's record right now?
That's not good. I think 4-4.
Okay, exactly. So you got Patrick, who's down at the bottom, but he's 9-0. I mean, at the end of the day, it is what it is, kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Would you rather have
Joe Burrow, by the way?
Well, okay, I got you. Would you rather have a MVP Patrick Mahomes playing right now that's 4-5 or 4-4 or whatever, or would you rather have a 9-0, LVP more or less?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's Joe Burrow leads in yards, passing yards, and their season's going to the wayside. And then passing touchdowns is tied between Baker, Joe Burrow, and Lamar Jackson, two of those teams who are not having the best of seasons.
And them jokers are dealing with a monster on their hands with Jamar Chase. He's making it. He's out of there. He's like, I don't care what you give me next year. And Jamar is making a case. He's made it to the point where it is maybe like that atmosphere now. You know,
Yeah.
It's true. I don't know how many guys like coming to work. You know how it is, man. If you ain't winning, guys are miserable, and somebody sitting up want to get paid to get their money, he ain't gonna be a happy guy to be around. You know,
Nope. You're right.
I'm the Brown. Appreciate the contribution, brother. Chiefs are 16-0 with the last game versus Denver. So hypothetical. So Chiefs are 16-0 with the last game versus Denver. Do they play all the starters for the perfect season? What say you guys?
Oof. Man, I think you play enough. I think you. Oh man, some guys you had to sit down. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
there's a couple guys I had to sit down.
I think it really the scenario. I think if you got a guy that's kind of been battling injuries all year, you certainly rest him. But at the end of the day, it's I certainly think you play him to some degree. I mean, there's no question about that. Because I don't know as far as having young guys. I don't know if I don't know if you've got a mature enough team to take a week off and be able to, because that's essentially you take a week off at 16-0. Guess what? You got 2 weeks off.
Yeah.
You got a bye week. And there's a lot of teams that had that bye week the first round of the playoffs that have been hot all year, and they come out and lay a damn egg in the second round of the playoffs. So, at the end of the day, I don't know if that's a good question to have, with asking that.
You forget how to run a daggone route. You like, how my leg touch me? I ain't did it for so long, against a competitor.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, your boys is out there and everybody just kind of mirroring each other. Yeah, you ain't putting in the work that you need to.
That's
so,
it.
I don't know. Chiefs, the Cal, appreciate you for the $5 donation. I'm the Brown. Appreciate you, my brother. Brenda Pike, appreciate you also too. So.
Yeah, that hypothetically undefeated season's interesting because this you can make the argument here that this 9-10-0 is kind of a unlucky number for the Chiefs. So 2003, JD was a part of the 9-0 squad.
We don't go there with it.
Couldn't get to 10-0, and then 2013, another 9-0 team couldn't get to 10-0 either. So the 9-10, it's a big deal. If they go over that hump, I say play the guys the rest of the year. Let's go for the whole thing. Let's go for the whole undefeated thing.
I don't know. Like I think I agree with Thigpen on this, man. If a guy's banged up, you got to sit him. I don't care. He's just not used. Don't put him out there to get hurt even more. Especially you've been banged up, and all of a sudden that was just a straw that broke the camel's back.
Yeah.
That's it. I'm done. You won't be that way.
It comes back to, like you just said, JD. It comes back to that the record between Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen. Obviously the 3-0. The only thing that matters is the playoffs. You think Patrick gives a crap about that 1-3 record that Josh Allen? He don't care about that. He cares about, hey, we did what we need to do at the time when we needed to do it. So.
Said Jim Moore, the playoffs. Playoffs? What playoffs?
And of course, the last time he played Buffalo in the regular season was the famous Kadarius Toney lining offsides game where Pat, flipped out at the referees in that game. So there's a little bit of revenge aspect here for the Chiefs to get one over after. Well, we did beat them in the playoffs, so I think we did our justice there. But nonetheless. All right, so final topic here before we get to some of your guys' questions in the chat for our guy Tyler. So Chiefs are a 2.5-point underdog against the Buffalo Bills at Buffalo at 4:25 p.m. Eastern Standard Time Sunday. With that, we'll have Tony Romo and Jim Nantz on the call, so that'll be fun. Mahomes is 11-3 straight up as an underdog and 12-1-1 against the spread when odds makers have him as the betting underdog. So the last thing you want to do is make this guy an underdog because he pretty much wins when he's an underdog. But who do you guys have in this AFC clash on Sunday?
I'll go first. Go ahead. I think with having JuJu coming back, I certainly think that you're going to see some stuff offensively start clicking. So I certainly see him putting some points on the board. Defense has obviously done what they've done all year as far as, being able to contain, offenses and whatnot. But I think the biggest takeaway in this game is what defense can contain a quarterback. But Josh Allen's game's been, when he gets outside the pocket, he's such a big threat. And I know Patrick Mahomes is too, but Patrick's shown that he can do it from the pocket too. So, at the end of the day, I think, if Kansas City's defense can contain Josh Allen and keep him and make him make plays in the pocket, because at the end of the day, if you rush up the field, you might as well go ahead and buy a ticket to the show and watch it happen, because I can tell you right now, he's going to take off. Josh Allen's going to take off and run. But I certainly see it being one of those things where I think that, obviously the Bills, I certainly think they'll put some points up. I got a close one. I'm going to say Chiefs 31, Bills 28.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
I like that.
Yeah, we know that we haven't let anybody score 28 points on us since, when was it, last year? How long has it been?
Yeah, we're going back a while.
Yeah. So I think we continue with that trend. I do believe the Chiefs are going to pull this thing out. I think we're going to have, a few possessions. With the possessions, we'll probably score 3 touchdowns, kick 2 field goals. It's going to add 27 points. But I do believe the Bills, and I still don't believe that Josh Allen has enough. I think defensively, what you have to do against him is you let the 4 rush and you spy a guy with him, okay? Or you bring 5 and have an other 6 guy. We like playing man, doing a little bit of bump. So as long as we do those things on defense, I think we'll be fine. Especially if you don't have Amari Cooper out there, right? You got a young guy. Shakur is the only guy that I know has that type of experience. Kincaid is out as well so far from what I've seen. He's been hurt, so it'll be on Dawson Knox, right? Dawson Knox is coming in, and so we know that we've been susceptible getting beat from tight ends, but I think we'll be fine against Dawson Knox this week. I do believe it. And for us, man, we just got to stop the run. That's another thing. I think we do a great job of stopping the run. We stop, like you said, Josh Allen. As soon as he sees and he takes off, has somebody on him right now. And that's what you got to do. You got to bottle him up as tightly as possible from let him get outside the lanes. And so contain him on the outside, push the pocket, okay? You got to put some pressure on this guy. You have to. But I do believe that we're going to score 27 points. They're going to be at 27-24 Chiefs.
Looking at the total points for the game, so Vegas has it set the over-under at 46. Tyler, you have it over, and JD, you have it over. Yeah, both of you guys have it over. Yeah, wow.
Over.
High-scoring games here. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it looks like everybody in the chat, 34-17, Kathy Welch, Andrea, 30-23, Michael Donegan, 27-24. There you go. There you go. Yeah. I mean, it could be an interesting one. Yeah, JD, you mentioned Dalton Kincaid probably out, Amari Cooper probably out, Keon Coleman out. They're going to be without a lot of weapons in this game, so we're going to probably see Josh Allen try to put the cape on and probably do it himself in this game, play some backyard football in this one and try to will the Bills to victory.
Well, I see Amber Brown says, Lord forgive me, but I really want to see Chris Jones or someone else fold up Allen. He can't return to the game. That's just football. Right. And nothing, saying anything malicious. This is what football is. So I want to see Chris Jones fold up Josh Allen and put him on the sideline, okay? You just let him just have a seat. Go to the blue tent first, okay? If you're not going to the locker room, you just have a seat on that bench. How about that? Take them shoulder pads off, okay, to call it a day, all right? I want to see that too. I'm the Brown. I want to see that too. So.
Tyler, you played at Buffalo, which is also a really tough place to play.
Yeah,
it's obviously not up there with the sound with the Kansas City and Seattle, but you've had a unique perspective. You've been on the part of the home team for Buffalo and Kansas City. What are the kind of differences in I guess the crowds and the stadium kind of aspects? Obviously, we see the broken tables in the parking lot with Buffalo, Bills Mafia, but like, what is the difference between the Bills Mafia and the Chiefs Kingdom as far as playing in both the environments?
Certainly. I mean, as far as when I played in Miami for those 2 years, we played in Buffalo those 2 times, and I remember going up there and ride on the buses when you come down the little road there and you're coming through the tailgates and you see the crazy fans that essentially the Bills are known for as far as from that standpoint. So, as far as for the feel of the stadium, it's really like it almost feels like a college stadium. The stands are really close to the field. So, you feel like the fans are on top of you. And there's fans. I mean, all they have in Buffalo is football and hockey. So they love their football team up there, and especially with the success they've had lately. I certainly think that, the crowd will definitely be a key factor as far as, being on the Bills side. But, if Patrick can do what he does early on, I think he can kind of silence that crowd as far as from that standpoint to get them out of the, being the 12th man, essentially.
You ever get to do any of those traditions up there? Do you go back to those games?
I did. So I went. I made it back to. We got some friends here that are big Buffalo fans.
Okay.
We made it back to a game last year. Went to the Giants-Bills game, and I went to a tailgate. And man, those fans are they're intense, man. To be out there in essentially the mosh pit. I mean, that's freaking. It was nuts, man. There's no doubt about that.
So you didn't do the table down?
I didn't jump to the table. No.
Okay. I was gonna say, man. I hope not. Oh,
I
Lord.
felt bad for that table. I was like, man, I don't want to break that table, man. You got all the food on there, But man, what a good business if you're in the Lifetime business. I think Lifetime might be the one that makes all those tables or whatever. Like, what a good business to be up in Buffalo. It's like, hey, keep making tables because they're gonna keep buying them.
Yeah. Shoot, I'd have a guy out there that worked for the company. Like, hey, man, let's go ahead and do jumping through tables. Just have everybody, right?
Yeah, exactly. Out there, just hey, here's a table.
He's like just counting the money. Like, yep, I got 25 of them today. 25 you joking jump through the table.
That's great. Just here's my business card. We'll deliver one right to your front door.
Right.
All right, so we're gonna go to the comments and questions for Tyler that people have been sending in since the beginning of the episode. First one's from Susan, JD's wife. Tyler, what was your favorite thing about the Chiefs, or what is your favorite play on the field?
Favorite play for me was obviously that, the play we talked about earlier, the reverse pass. I mean, that was one of those that certainly sticks out. Another one that obviously sticks out too is my first NFL touchdown, and who better to throw that to my man, Tony G. So, those are pretty special. But, as far as being a Chief, I mean, that was it's such a special to see, obviously, the success they had now. Because when I'll go read to the kids and everything, I'll wear my Chiefs jersey and go read to the kids here. And it's funny to see the little boys. They're like, "You're an NFL player?" And I'm like, "No, I used to be an NFL player." Like they're like, "When'd you play?" And I'm just like, "I played back before you were born, son. So just calm down." But Chiefs, obviously that's been my team, through thick and thin. As far as, like you said, once a Chief, always a Chief. There's no doubt about that.
That's right.
Question from Jeremiah de los Muertos. Tyler, what was your best Chiefs moment in your NFL career? I think you kind of answered that, but
yeah, kind of answered that or whatever. I mean, obviously, I wish we had a lot more success there. I mean, we certainly, offensively, man. I mean, we put up some numbers, in our offense that year in 2008. Just unfortunately, our defense. I don't like to put any blame anywhere else because at the end of the day, it's your job to win the game and outscore the opponent. When you got the 31st defense in the NFL, I mean, I think we were the 32nd team in sacks that year. I mean, we literally, we couldn't, bust our way out of a brown paper bag essentially on defense. Yeah, I mean, the worst team in the league that year was the 0-16 Detroit Lions. So, we were right there behind them as far as on defense essentially. But, I think we had 7 fourth quarter leads that year that essentially we ended up losing, when it came down to it.
Those were fun times. Everyone always talks about like that era of the Chiefs. Like, yes, record wise wasn't the best, but having you back there was fun, and that pistol offense was fun as heck, man. As you said, you guys did put up points. You guys did make it. It was watchable. It wasn't like those Lions teams where those games were unwatchable. I had friends who were Lions fans who didn't even watch like that era of the Lions, but now they're watching them. But yeah, you made it fun, man.
No, it was a lot of fun for me too. So there's no doubt about that.
It's good stuff. That was good stuff there, man. Watching my dog, man, doing your thing.
That's it, man. Having fun out there.
Hey, you were part of we did a trivia on our channel a couple months back, and you were you were answering one of our questions. It was
oh, nice.
Who was the only Chiefs quarterback to lead the league in rushing from the quarterback position? And then someone got the Tyler Thigpen, but yeah, it was good. It's a great trivia question. Only
Good thing my man Michael Vick was in jail that year. So.
It's true. The old Pats is a question. Ways answering questions. Who was the best offensive and defensive Chiefs player during your time with us?
I mean, without a doubt, offensive player Tony Gonzalez. There's no doubt about that. I mean, he was obviously what it was like. Obviously a phenomenal player, but he was also a pro on and off the field. I mean, the way he carried himself in the locker room. I mean, those are guys that you modeled what you should be doing as a pro, taking care of your body, what you're eating, what you're, physically what you're doing in the weight room, things like that. Defensive wise, certainly played with a couple guys there. One that stands out, Jared Allen, he certainly was fun to watch. I was there. My rookie year was his year. Essentially, he had a breakout year and then went to Minnesota and got paid going up there.
All right. Then we have a quick one here. HVHY. Diggs, are you following South Carolina football this year?
I am. They're doing well, man. They got if they can get that win against Missouri this weekend, I think they can. They'll have. I think Walford after that, and then Clemson will be their big rivalry game. But right now, the way that things are rolling for them, and saying, "Am I following?" There's no doubt about that. I mean, hopefully they can. If they can roll off 3 wins, I could see them skirting in the playoffs here at the end. Being a number 11, 12 seed. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah. There's been a few games this year where they've been the favorite in games against ranked squads this year. And I think this weekend as well.
Yeah, exactly. This weekend, and then the A&M game that stands out a few weeks ago. I don't know if they were favored against A&M. They might have been. I don't really pay attention to the lines and stuff like that, but that was a big win for them against a top 10 team. There's no doubt about they're playing well. I mean, I think when you looked at that schedule at the beginning of the year. I thought they'd be lucky to win 3 or 4 games, and here they are 6-3 and play, bowl eligible, and that's certainly a big thing.
Yeah, they had that LSU game, and then they blew it the second half of that game. That would have been a big one.
Yeah, that's tough, man.
Then your final question here: what was Tyler's favorite team to play for?
I mean, no doubt about the Chiefs. I mean, obviously, being that I played there the most in my career. That's obviously probably one of the reasons it is my favorite place to play. But, those Chiefs fans, I mean, they are, like I said, when that first home game that when I was a rookie of seeing that, what the Arrowhead could be like and how loud it was, man. I mean, it was a pretty special place to play. And like I said, being that I played there the most of my career, that's definitely the Chiefs by far.
So your rookie year, was Damon the starter? Damon was a starter, right?
So rookie year, yeah, Damon was a starter, and Brody they essentially wanted Brody to be the starter.
Right.
And obviously he became the starter there. Later in the season, and ended up blowing his knee out.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as from that standpoint, yeah, Damon was the starter then. What a great guy he was, man. I mean, never a big time quarterback, but always a great guy to be a teammate and
absolutely.
That year that I started, I mean, he was certainly a good or a mentor that, as far as being able to learn from, was very helpful.
Yeah, Damon, good people. Him and Brody both.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And we got one more question from Alden Brown. One more question: Josh Norman or Trent McDuffie?
Ooh, man. I mean, both are great players, man. I mean, Josh, obviously my dude as far as being a coastal guy, man. And but Trent, man, I mean, that guy can lock him down too. So, Josh was obviously had a great career, but, at the end of the day, like I said, I'm not going to choose one over the other, but, I'll take the political answer more or less. But, 2 great players, there's no doubt.
Take both of them.
That's right. Exactly.
Yeah.
On both sides.
Yeah. we love the coastal players, though.
That's right.
All right. Well, appreciate everyone's questions. Tyler, man, again, man, it's always a blast having you on here, man. We love having you on here. We love, you taking the time with and answer all the questions and whatnot, man. You're a blast, man. Still one of my favorites of all time is Tyler Thigpen. For all those fantasy nuts out there, fantasy football nuts out there, I still have people who will talk about, when I say I'm a Chiefs fan, people will say, dude, Tyler Thigpen, man, he was one of those guys that won me a fantasy league back in the day. I'm like, that's fantastic.
That's awesome, man. I appreciate it. Thank you guys for having me on, JD. Always great to see you. And
Always,
you
my
guys
brother.
are doing well and doing your thing. And anytime I can ever, come back on and talk football, hopefully I'm always available, man.
Well, man, we love to have you, man. We love having you on anyway, and so, like you said, it's always good catching up, man. Anytime I see, man, my old teammates, see them doing well, seeing their face, and to me, man, it just makes me just feel great just doing
Absolutely.
it, man. Tyler, man, look, miss you, man. Love you. Hope we get together sometime soon. You maybe get out there for a Chiefs game.
Absolutely.
Find out, man. So we just had to find that out. But I'm going to talk.
Get back to one.
Yeah, man. Yeah, you've been up into the Bills, man. Come on back into the Chiefs, baby.
That's right. Exactly.
Yeah. We're gonna put you on a horse or something, let you gallop down the field. You know what I'm saying? Like on a chariot, just waving at everybody.
Exactly.
How about that?
Dude, I come out there and just, raise the horse up and then just slam the spike in the ground,
There you go.
There you go. Y'all be good, man. Thank y'all again for having me on.
I appreciate it, my brother, man. Look, I'm gonna say bye to everybody in here. G-Pig, the barbershop. Everybody saying appreciate it, Tyler. Mike Brennan, Richie Hall, Kathy Welch, Lynn Julian, Neff, good seeing you. I'll see you tomorrow. Kevin Mars, I'm the Brown. Sweetie, good talking to you. Don Peterson, about time. Everybody, thank you. Dane, for just the questions. Everything y'all do for us. Just hollering at us. I'm sure Tyler loved it. Just engaging with everybody. Good seeing you all. Andrea, High Value, High Yield. Chiefs from Southern Cal, appreciate the contribution. Everybody else that came to come see us, run our mouth. But more importantly, I hope y'all doing well. Y'all take care. God bless. Y'all have a wonderful night. Tyler, my brother, be well, and your family. We love you. Take care, Marcus, man. Love you too. All right.
You too, brother. Enjoy it, fellas.
Love you, Tyler.
All right. We'll see you on Friday. See you Friday,
everybody. That's and JD's Keys to Victory. We'll see you guys Friday. Take it easy, everybody. See you, Tyler.
All right, later. Y'all be good, man.
All right, brother.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out the best clips from Chief Concerns. And if you prefer to listen to the show, subscribe and follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and anywhere else you get your podcasts.